Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 7th October 2023. My name is T.S.V. Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in all my previous videos. So please subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous, present, and future videos. So let us continue with the topic of discussion for today's video. In some of my past videos, we had been analyzing at length a particular term called psyche of a human living entity, whether male or female, in the material and the spiritual sense. We discussed this topic at length, plus we also talked about the case histories that authenticated the validity of this particular term in the spiritual and material world of any human living entity. However, while contemplating yesterday, I came to remember one particular very intriguing and interesting case history which will help us delve into the psyche of a couple of characters in such a way that it will give us a very good idea of this particular term. This is a true story and it may sound slightly demonic and negative in nature, but nevertheless it has its own value as a subject of study for students of materialism and spiritualism and the complete contemplation and meditation at length. So let us continue with this particular very interesting story. There is a bank called Union Bank of India in India, which was operating as a nationalized bank in the year 1974 and even before when it was nationalized in the year 1969 by the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. Now, because this particular bank, Union Bank of India, was nationalized, so it came under the control of the Reserve Bank of India. This bank, along with other banks, had to deposit their own savings or collections regularly and weekly into the Reserve Bank of India for not only safe deposit but for other processes that this Reserve Bank of India carried out. One of these branches was in a place called Connaught Place in the state capital of New Delhi. This branch regularly deposited cash every week on a Saturday evening at the headquarters of the Reserve Bank of India. For this, it used one van which it loaded with boxes of cash, and this van was sent along with its driver and one security guard to the Reserve Bank of India. Now we will change and go to another direction of this story. Meantime, there was one guy called Shahwar Khan who was living in the state capital of Madhya Pradesh, that is Bhopal. Bhopal is the administrative center and capital of Madhya Pradesh. This guy was a career criminal and he, along with his best friend and accomplice called Mr. Ravi Kapoor, indulged in other nefarious activities besides their main profession of interstate car thievery. Both these thieves were expert drivers and mechanics of cars and automobiles, and their actual trade was to steal cars from one state, drive it to another state, and sell it to some people who received stolen goods in that particular state for a profit. This was the main trade of these two robbers. While Shawar Khan belonged to Bhopal, Ravi Kapoor belonged to a city or town called Jabalpur in the same state of Madhya Pradesh. These two had been carrying out with their nefarious activity of car thievery and selling it for a profit for years when one day both of them met at some hideout. After exchanging pleasantries, Ravi Kapoor quipped or mused and asked Shawar Khan, "How long will we do this car thievery? Let us do one particular big job, make our money, and retire for good from these criminal activities and underworld." Shawar Khan was intrigued and pleased by this suggestion. He asked Ravi Kapoor, do you have something in mind? Ravi Kapoor nodded. Now we would take a detour from the story about Ravi Kapoor and Shawar Khan. We can very well make an analysis of the psyche of these two young men. Both of them were young, skilled in a negative way, and were criminal minded in nature. That is, their nature was actually ruled by the demonic side of human psyche. They were not those who can put their skills to positive use just because of one of the five evils that plagues an individual according to Lord Krishna. This particular evil is called greed. If they had only wanted, both Ravi Kapoor and Shawar Khan could have become very good car mechanics and drivers and could have secured some decent job or opened their own workshops in their respective cities. However, just because of their negative traits in psyche, they had chosen to use such excellent skills for crime and robbery. Now we will continue. When Shawar Khan asked Ravi Kapoor whether he had something in mind, Ravi Kapoor told him that he had a very good friend in the state capital of India, that was New Delhi. The name of this particular individual young man was Vipin Jaggi. We will, before concluding or before meeting this Vipin Jaggi, try to find out what was the psyche of Vipin Jaggi. Vipin Jaggi obviously was as criminal minded as Ravi Kapoor and Shawar Khan. This guy must have had some very intelligent plan, as a result of which he could impress a robber like Ravi Kapoor, who was trying to impress upon another accomplice called Shawar Khan. Anyway, when Shawar Khan agreed to this proposition, he and Ravi Kapoor went to Delhi to meet this Vipin Jaggi, who was then introduced to Shawar Khan. After spending some weeks with each other in Delhi, Vipin Jaggi laid out his plans to Ravi Kapoor and Shawar Khan. He said that there is one particular van from a branch office of a particular bank which travels regularly every week on Saturday to the local headquarters of the Reserve Bank of India, loaded with cash or boxes of cash. This Vipin Jaggi said that this particular van crosses from Connaught Place to the headquarters of RBI or Reserve Bank of India through one bridge or overbridge called Minto Bridge. Vipin Jaggi had done his own homework and he came up with a brilliant plan. He said that he had all the blueprint of a plan to rob this particular van when it was trying to cross this Minto Bridge. Here again we will take a detour. By this particular proposition, Weapon Jaggi showed to the other two robbers that he was actually cerebrally inclined and brilliant, but alas, he had a negative trait in him just like his other two friends. The other two friends were very good drivers and mechanics, but they used their talents to rob other vehicles, etc. Vipin Jaggi was also obviously extremely intelligent, but he used his own psych intelligence and cerebral faculties to lay out such a blueprint of a plan to rob a van. This shows how the demonic traits of any individual rule the brains of that individual if this person plays along and supports such control from the demonic side of human psyche. Now, when they came to know about this plan, both Ravi Kapoor and Shawar Khan were delighted. Both of them were robbers, and all three were extremely greedy for making some quick buck. This Shawar Khan asked Vipin Jaggi how much must on average this van carry with it every week. This Vipin Jaggi said that it was around a couple of lakhs of rupees at least. This was the year 1974. According to inflation, what was 1 lakh in 1974 was almost 1 crore as on date. Hence, both Ravi Kapoor and Shawar Khan began drooling instantly. This was their jackpot to ultimate success. If they succeeded in this job, they could distribute the loot among themselves and retire from the criminal activities and underworld for good for their remaining lives. These guys were either in their late 20s or early 30s in the year 1974. Both Ravi Kapoor and Shawar Khan agreed to this plan. They wanted to play along and become a party to this particular caper. However, before they could proceed further, Vipin Jaggi pointed out, my dear friends, we are not exactly alone. We will have one more accomplice who is quite resourceful and younger than us. He is quite energetic and he has been with me in my own criminal activities in the Delhi underworld for a couple of years. This guy is more educated than all three of us. And I feel that if we get this guy as an accomplice, we will be able to succeed in our caper faster and in a better way. And we can carry out this plan to success very easily. Both of them instantly got wary, but they nodded anyway. Now they were intrigued to know who this fourth guy was. One day or one evening, a few days later, Jaggi called these guys to a hotel or a restaurant. There, when they were sitting, Jaggi broke the news. He said that guy was expected here any moment. Both of them waited earnestly and with a couple of feelings of trepidation as to who this guy would be. Suddenly, a side door of that restaurant opened, and one very young boy who was hardly in his early 20s entered and smiled at Vipin Jaggi. Shawar Khan's heart skipped a beat. He had seldom come across somebody who looked like this young man. This guy was remarkably good looking and handsome, but he had a wild, don't care attitude on his face. Even when this guy smiled, it showed his own inbuilt carelessness and overconfidence. When this boy came and shook hands with all the three, this guy opened his mouth and Shawar Khan's fears were confirmed. This guy was indeed impetuous and overconfident. My name is Sunil Batra, this guy said. I am an engineering student in the local Delhi college. I am in my second or third year of my course in engineering. I am quite educated and above all very resourceful because I am the only son of a retired major of the Indian Army. Both Ravi Kapoor and Shawar Khan exchanged looks. This was new. These guys were career criminals who had been at home with other career criminals who were either semi literate or skilled at the most, but who were not from such level of social strata. What was this guy, the son of a major and an engineering student at that, was doing with guys like us? All both Shawar Khan and Ravi Kapoor wondered. However, this guy was able to quickly dissuade them from this suspicion. This guy showed that he was a never do well and a spoilt brat right from his younger days. Now we will just talk about the psyche of Sunil Batra. According to one very important or very successful feature film in Hindi, there is a dialogue from the one of the main female characters of that film. It so says that don't blame any young man or woman for his or her criminal, rash, and reckless behavior, but behind every such act is a root which is actually originating from this particular person being spoiled by his parents or her parents. In other words, it usually happens that either the father or the mother or both spoil their children in such a way that these children become impetuous and overconfident right from their childhood, and they think that if they can achieve anything at home, they can achieve anything in the outside world also. Sunil Batra belonged to that category. His psyche made him think that he could achieve the impossible in this society. He had an air of superiority complex and overconfidence, as a result of which it had made him quite reckless and impetuous. He thought that if these illiterate, semi-literate, or ordinary criminals could achieve so much in such a young age, this or I, Sunil Batra, could do far more. This was the learning period for Sunil Batra. He did not know the half of it. It was another matter that in the social strata these three robbers belonged nowhere near this boy, but yet there is something called destiny and karma. God is too complicated an entity to be reduced to a rule. He makes princes out of paupers and paupers out of princes. Logically speaking, on the human level, there was no match between Sunil Batra, Vipin Jaggi, Ravi Kapoor, and Shawar Khan. Yet here these four were together to carry out some plan which was drawn out by one of the other three criminals, namely Vipin Jaggi. We shall talk about this story in detail in my next video. I would like to stop at this particular juncture because this story is not only long but also quite interesting and intriguing. Here we will have to look at the psyche of several human living entities and to understand the vibrations in the society at any particular point of time. As I had mentioned in some of my previous videos, 75% of us all look only at the etheric body of senses. Here, these four guys look like they are listening to the vibrations of their astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions because they are thinking quite intelligently. But alas, you would appreciate that even if this was a little true, the fact remained that the vibrations from their senses and their demonic and negative nature ruled their cerebral faculties so fully that these guys were all myopic in their own nature, activities, thinking, and planning. What happened next, we will discuss in my next video, the video that we will have tomorrow. I would like to stop here. I have talked in detail about this story in this video. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter. Please give me your own expert views, thoughts, opinions, and ideas so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. We are talking about the psyche of four young men in this society, and we are trying to analyze how a particular human living entity who has gone demonic in his thinking and activities thinks or operates. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, which is a continuation of the present video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.